Well, the Sawdust is going on right now. It's from 10 o'clock until 10 p.m. and it's going to run until August 30th. And we're fortunate to have some artists that are going to be joining us on the program. And today we have Maggie Spencer, and she does something called fused glass. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
I was reading a little bit about your bio. You actually are an anteater from UCI.
Yes, I never graduated, but I did attend.
That's a really good school anyways.
Yes.
And you had somewhat engineering and...
Yes, I was at the School of Engineering and Computer Science.
How
back when we had punch cards.
Some time ago then.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Did that really change and affect the way your art is developed?
I'm sure it did, because I am very interested in the process behind the glass, not just cutting it, putting it in the kiln and saying, woohoo, here it is. I am interested in what's going on while it's in there. So I think a little bit of that science background is there.
Right. And a lot of that science is the heat, right?
Yes, it is.
The temperatures are so important, and
Correct.
depending on the material you're using.
Right, and the compatibility of the glasses.
Right. Huh. Well, you've brought a couple of items that are beautiful. Is this just normal glass that somebody would find at a glass store that you melt down?
No, because there again, it has to be compatible glass. Different types of glass have different elements in it to make it a softer or a harder glass. You've heard of lead glass. It might have potash. It might have boron in it. The different materials that are in the glass affect how it expands and contracts when you heat it in the kiln. And if it doesn't expand and contract at the same rate, then you have shock and it breaks. So all the glass is tested compatible. My glass, I typically use Bullseye Glass, which is a company up in Oregon that pre-tests in the factory the compatibility of glasses. Prior to that, when they started doing that, prior to that in the 70s, you had to test every piece of glass in your kiln, and it was a very time-consuming and costly process.
Right. Well, like this piece right here, are these independent pieces of glass that you have fused together?
I've started with a square of clear glass, and then I've cut the 4 colors that you see there to fit, and then I have laid decorative glass on top and fired it flat the first time. And with kiln-formed glass, anytime you see a shape in it, it means that it's been fired at least twice, because you fire flat first to fuse it, and then it goes on to either a ceramic mold or a stainless steel mold to get the shape.
Gotcha. So these cuts right here are the actual cuts, or
Yes.
like almost like a welder?
Yes, well, in a way, yes.
In a way,
Yeah.
Now, what kind of glaze is it? Like ceramics, where you're using certain glaze to colorize it?
There is no glaze. The glass itself, I buy in sheets that are colored and cut and fit them. And then the glass that you see on top, what I call the bling, that is a dichroic glass, and that's actually a very expensive glass because of the process that goes in to make it. It's a process that was developed by NASA for the heat shields on the space shuttle.
Wow.
And it's bonding different metals and metal oxides to a glass in a vacuum with an electron beam. So it requires sophisticated equipment plus a technician that knows how to do it. So that's why the glass is expensive and why I call it the bling.
And why someone would take engineering classes at UCI. Sounds very complicated. Wow, these are beautiful items. These little additions to the glass, are these glass as well, or is that some kind of metal?
This is the dichroic glass that I refer to.
Okay.
And it's just the way that it reflects light differently because of the metal compounds that are on the glass. So it's highly reflective and also causes a little color shift sometimes.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been working with glass since the 70s. I've been doing the Sawdust Festival for 22 years.
Wow.
But I started out with the basic lead caming and copper foiling of glass and got into the fusion about 9 years ago.
Now, stained glass was very popular in the 70s.
Yes,
Did you start with stained glass?
I started with the stained glass and then started copper foiling it, which is just instead of using the lead came between the glass, you actually wrap it with a copper foil and then solder the copper together. And then I got a little, should I say, bored with that and needed a way to display it a little differently, so I got into woodworking. So I did woodworking for a while also, just so I had elements that I could display my glass on.
Great.
And once I started with the glass fusion, I dropped the woodwork, and I always say, once you do glass fusion, you never go back to the stained glass.
Yeah,
it's just
beautiful.
Thank
you actually have, is that a tile that
Yes,
someone
I
could
just
use
wanted
as
to
a
show that I
backboard?
also do something that's a little whimsical. This is a single fire flat piece, and then I've just attached a wood background to it so that you can hang it on the wall, little wall mount.
So if somebody wanted to do something really nice in the kitchen, you know, and maybe just do a line of these, you could actually put something like that together as well. So you do custom work if someone has a request, What's your favorite fusion? Like, is it bowls? Is it plates?
I like
tiles?
playing around with casting glass. It's another unique property of this glass is that it wants to be a 1/4 inch thick. So when you fire it, it spreads out to be about a 1/4 inch. So cast glass means that I'm actually building up thicker layers of glass, but then I'm damming it so that I can contain it and build a thicker layer. And it allows me to put a lot of depth into the glass and layer things into it. And for those pieces, those are typically highly specialized. They're wall pieces, or I'm working right now on a little series of houses that are out of the cast glass. So I'll have a little love shack and a little zen room. And
That's cool.
So I enjoy playing around with that. But for the Sawdust Festival, that's where I make my living. That's where most of the artists there make their living. And so you go with what you can sell on a day-to-day basis.
Right, absolutely. Now, I get how it comes in a square. You get it from the manufacturer as a square. Here you've done an embossed cat. So have you
I've cut each of those
each
pieces
one of
of the
those
cat.
and then inlaid them there?
Yes, and then there are different things or different types of glass that you can work with. They have confetti glass, which are just very thin microns of glass that you can break up over it. And that's what you see kind of scattered in the background there. And frit, which are different degrees of ground glass, from coarse right down to powder. And so I've used a lot of powder to get the striations on the cat and the markings on the cat.
Yeah, that's really nice. It's beautiful. So what booth are you at?
I'm at booth 105. It's right on the main aisle.
Oh, great. So when you first walk in, you just basically go down the main
And I'm
aisle?
4 or 5 up on the left-hand side. One of the advantages of having been there for a while.
That's true.
Yeah. And I also teach classes there too, the Sawdust Studio Art classes.
Oh, great. Now you have your website. That's how I got some information regarding you. I just Googled your name, and then it's a beautiful website too.
Thank you.
You have some nice photos, and you have some great information there. And so be sure and check that out. Now, you were there most days or just some days?
Most days. I do have to put time in my studio. It's the booth spaces aren't large enough for me to haul in a kiln and actually cut glass there. So unfortunately, I can't be there all the time.
So are you able to work there and kind of put things together and then prepare
On the
them
smaller
for that?
pieces, I can do that. And I'll just do a little tack gluing on the pieces so that I can transport them back to my studio and fire them.
Sounds great. Well, we appreciate you coming on the program
My
today.
pleasure.
It sounds like a lot of fun. The Sawdust Festival will be going on, I say, until August 30th. And go over there at 10 o'clock in the morning till 10 p.m. And they have food and beverages and refreshments.
4 restaurants, a saloon,
music,
coffee shop.
you name
Absolutely.
it. So it's not just looking at all this beautiful artwork.
No,
but
it's a total experience.
It's an entertainment event, right? Well, thanks so much for joining us on the
My
program
pleasure.
today. We'll be right back with more of our program right after this.